Please take notice that the Millstone Township Zoning Board of Adjustment, a reorganization and first regular meeting of 2026 has been scheduled for Wednesday, January 28, 2026, at 7:30 p.m. at the Municipal Meeting Room, 215 Millstone Road, Millstone Township, New Jersey. Formal action may be taken. So we call the meeting in order. First thing we're going to do is we have a reading of the public notice.
In accordance with Chapter 231 PL 1975, the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as required, specifying the time and location which such notice is being sent to the Asbury Park Press and the Times of Trenton, posted on the municipal public notice meeting bulletin board, and filed with the township clerk.
Okay, now we'll stand for a pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence for those who have fought for our country and have served and have served.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Danielle, we have a roll call.
Chairman, excuse me, Mr. Mostyn?
Here.
Mr. Bartmus?
Here.
Mr. Cadigan?
Here.
Mr. Lambros?
Here.
Mr. Sinha?
Here.
And for the record, Ms. Arpaia, Mr. Ferrara, and Mr. Borghese are absent today. We do have 5 members and do have a quorum.
Okay. First thing on our agenda is election of officers. Do we have any nominations for chairman for the 2026 year?
I nominate Mr. Moss.
Thanks, Steve.
Chair
Appreciate
again.
that.
Is there any other nominations? Is there a second on that nomination?
I'll second
We have a roll call?
Mr. Bartmus?
Yes.
Mr. Cadigan?
Yes.
Mr. Lambros?
Yes.
Mr. Sinha?
it. Yes.
And Mr. Mostyn, do you accept?
Yes.
I now hand over the meeting back to you, Mr. Chairman.
I really wanted to say no, but
Mr.
All right.
Chairman, if I may, just to put on record, Mr. Lambros was sworn in for his oath of office for his next 4-year term tonight, so he is eligible and is a voting member. Thank you for another 4 years.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Great honor.
4 more, yeah.
Thank you.
4 more years.
Good luck.
All right, we are now going to elect our vice chair. I will take the initiative and elect Mr. Steve Barthelmess.
Thank you.
Turn the favor for you. Anybody
second
want to- Thank you.
Chairman Mostyn?
Yes.
Mr. Cadigan?
Yes.
Mr. Lambros?
Yes.
Mr. Sinha?
Yes.
And Mr. Bartmus?
22 years later, sure, I'll do it again.
Well, thank you for your service. Appreciate it.
22.
22.
We're all 22.
We're old.
Wow.
All about the same, except me. All right. Unfortunately, you have to bear with us for a few moments while we do our reorg. First up is for our board attorney for professional legal services. We had some,
We have one.
we only had one for attorney, right? Thank you. Nobody wanted your job, Greg.
I think I'm the only one that's applied for this job for the last 22 years.
So with that, we are going to accept Mr. Vella as our zoning board attorney.
Second?
And, yeah, I'll make the motion to, anybody want a second?
I'll make the second.
Thank you.
Chairman Mostyn?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Barthelmess?
Yes.
Mr. Cadigan?
Yes.
Mr. Lambros?
Yes.
Mr. Sinha?
Yes.
Motion approved. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Greg. Thank you.
Love coming here.
All right, next up is our board engineer. We had a couple. We had Matt, we had your firm, Avakian. We also had CME, and I think it was French and Perillo was one of the others.
Yeah, they're always after my job.
That's right, but,
Mr. Chairman, we did review the bids that came in. Our office did review them. Matt, as always, has been favorable in his RFQ that he submitted. Price-wise, he's been good for our county. He's been with us for 22 years also.
I was the cheapest one.
He was the cheapest one. So,
Okay.
I'll leave
22
that.
years old?
22 as well.
I started when I was 18, so.
All right, I will make a motion to approve. If anybody wants to second. Thank you.
Chairman Mostyn?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Barthelmess?
Yes.
Mr. Cadigan?
Yes.
Mr. Lambros?
Yes.
Mr. Sinha?
Yes.
Motion approved, 5-0. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again, Matt. Appreciate your years of service.
Long ago.
Okay. Next up, we have our board planner. We also had a few submittals, and we had selected,
MJ Planning was our lowest bid for the proposal. We also had another one for CME and Maripool. So we did a board there. We did review everything. Everything's in place with the submissions.
I will make the motion to approve.
MJ Planning.
MJ Planning, thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Steve.
Chairman Austin?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Barthelmess?
Yes.
Mr. Cadigan?
Yes.
Mr. Lambros?
Yes.
Mr. Sinha?
Yes.
Motion approved, 5-0. Welcome.
Thanks, guys. It's really good to be back. I can't even explain. So.
22 years? 22 years?
Yeah, that'll. Yes. I won't tell you where I was 22 years ago.
Well, it's good to have you back, McKinley. All right, now our tree expert is on an as-needed basis, correct?
Yes, and you only had one RFQ submitted, or response to the RFQ submitted, and it was from CME Associates, Sherry Spiro, and she has worked with us in the past.
Yep.
Yeah, we, only when there's issues that we need to refer to her, does she bill the escrow, like in the present application, so.
Right. Okay. I will make a motion to approve CME Associates for our tree expert.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Chairman Austin?
Yes.
Mr. Barthelmess, excuse me, Vice Chairman Barthelmess?
Yes.
Mr. Cadigan?
Yes.
Mr. Lambros?
Yes.
Mr. Sinha?
Yes.
Approved, 5-0.
All right. Next up is the best person in the room for our board secretary.
That's right.
And we are going to re-elect Miss Danielle Sims.
I'm already on the payroll.
Yeah. So I will make a motion to approve Danielle. We appreciate all your hard work and service.
I'll second it.
100%.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Lambros.
Welcome.
And thank you for the confidence. Chairman Austin?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Barthelmess?
Yes.
Mr. Cadigan?
Yes.
Mr. Lambros?
Yes.
Mr. Sinha?
Yes.
Motion approved, 5-0. Thank you all.
Okay. All right, now we have our 2026 meeting schedule. Do I have to read every date, or could we just
Nope.
reference the dates that are posted?
The dates that are posted in the resolution are significant, are acceptable.
Thank you. So I will make a motion to approve the dates as listed.
I'll second.
Thanks. Steve,
Before I
appreciate it.
do that, just to note, the meetings are all scheduled for Wednesdays, the fourth Wednesday of the month at 7:30 PM, with the exception of November and December due to the holiday season. We always end up on Thanksgiving Eve and usually around the week of Christmas, so we do have those on the second Thursday of the month for November and December.
And we'll always have problems there, because usually all my meetings in December get put in the first 2 weeks, but we'll deal with that in 11 months.
Then you get the next 2 weeks off.
Exactly.
Good.
There you go. Okay. Chairman Austin?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Barthelmess?
Yes.
Mr. Cadigan?
Yes.
Mr. Lambros?
Yes.
Mr. Sinha?
Yes.
Okay, so before we move on to our approval of our minutes, is there any public comment for any matter that's not on the agenda for this evening? Seeing no one, great, we will move on. Okay, we have approval of minutes from November 13th. I believe these all came out, everybody had an opportunity to kind of review them. This one here.
Any questions about them?
Nope. Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? Good to go, approved.
The transcript will be attached to this.
I'll make a motion to approve them.
Thank you, Steve.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Chairman Austin?
Yes.
Mr. Cadigan?
Yes.
Mr. Lambros?
Yes.
Mr. Sinha?
Yes.
Motion approved, 4-0.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, we have a resolution for JCP&L.
Before we vote on it. I just want to explain it to the board, because I assume everyone's here for the JCPL application, correct? Okay. So this resolution that we're adopting has nothing, it has something to do with the application, but nothing of merit, and this resolution does not approve the application. As part of any application, we have a list of items that they have to provide before they get to this hearing, which will be tonight. A lot of them are sometimes applicable, sometimes not applicable. And if things are not applicable, they're allowed to ask for a waiver saying, hey, I don't need to submit it. Can you let me not submit it? I want to proceed to the hearing. So there was a bunch of items that they asked first not to submit for this hearing, that the board and their professionals determined are not material for an informed decision on the application. That's what that is. Now, that resolution also has a condition that says, if during the actual hearing, which you'll hear in a little bit, we say, hey, you know that thing we said you didn't have to present? We want it. Okay? So that's what that resolution is. Don't think of it that we approve the application, prejudge the application. It has nothing to do with the application other than it gets them before the board for a public hearing. Okay? So that resolution came out. There's a couple waivers that were included that I missed. If there's no other questions or comments, need a motion and second to memorialize the waiver resolution.
Thank you for the explanation, Greg. Appreciate
Because
it.
I know everyone would say, what do you mean you already approved it?
Yeah. Okay, so for the resolution for the waivers, anybody want to make a motion to approve? If there's no questions, comments, so we can move on to our hearing for tonight.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Chairman Mustin,
Yes.
Mr. Pattigan,
Yes.
Mr. Lambros,
Yes.
Mr. Sinco.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. And last on our list for resolutions is our bridge asset management.
That resolution also came out, that was the denial of the appeal from the zoning officer for determination that a truck terminal was still permitted on the site. That resolution came out, we need a motion and second to memorialize that affirmation of the zoning officer's determination.
I'll make it. I'll second it.
Chairman Mustin,
Yes.
Mr. Pattigan,
Yes.
Mr. Lambros,
Yes.
Mr. Sinco.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. Appreciate that. Okay, now we can move to our first application, and our only application for tonight, for JCP&L.
All right, for the record, I reviewed the notice to adjoining property owners, an affidavit of publication, which was very extensive. They are in order, and the board has jurisdiction to hear this matter. As the board does in its normal course, we pre-mark certain exhibits, which I'll read into the record as follows. A1 jurisdictional notice package, A2 application checklist administrative forms, A3 outside agency approvals, A4 sample before and after renderings of view looking west-northwest from Millstone Road to south of Perennial Road, 1 page. A5 threatened and endangered species report dated July 2025, prepared by Dubis and Associates. A6 environmental impact statement dated July 25, prepared by Du Bois, which I'm probably butchering it, and Associates. A7 Millstone Township easements for each of the affected properties. A8 overall aerial map dated 7/14/2025, prepared by Boswell Engineering. A9 tree survey summary and maps dated 11/25/2004, prepared by Du Bois and Associates. A10 soil erosion and sediment control plan consisting of 23 pages dated 4/21/2025, prepared by Langdon Engineering. A11 preliminary and final major site plan and variance plan consisting of 43 sheets dated 7/28/2025, prepared by Boswell Engineering. A12 right-of-way survey consisting of 26 sheets dated 7/11/2025, prepared by Langdon Engineering. A13 sample 2 before and after renderings looking west-northwest from Millstone Road to south of Perennial Road of 1 page. Board has also marked their own exhibits, which will mark as ZB1, which is the completeness determination granted by the zoning board on November 13th, 2025. ZB2, engineering and planning review dated 11/20/2025. ZB3, LTE review dated 1/12/2026, and ZB4 Environmental Commission and Shade Tree Joint Report prepared dated 11/20/2025. Of course, Council, you can introduce any other evidence you deem necessary, appropriate for your application. For members of the public, I just read a whole list of them. If all those documents I reference are on our website. So if you want to go see them after, that's where they all are. So Council, please enter your appearance, and you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Bella. Benjamin Nadell, a partner with the law firm Saul Ewing, appearing on behalf of the applicant, Jersey Central Power and Light Company. The application before you this evening is for preliminary and final major site plan approval, along with D variance relief. It is in support of the New Jersey Clean Energy Corridor project, also known as the NJCEC project. As you will hear from JCP&L's professionals in a few minutes, this project consists of critical utility infrastructure improvements, and the overall project spans through several municipalities and 4 counties, including Monmouth, Mercer, Ocean, and Middlesex. The project has been very successful. JCP&L has secured approvals from several municipalities within the last year, including Freehold, Jackson, Howell, Lakewood, and East Windsor. With the Millstone portion of the project, JCP&L is proposing to replace 37 steel lattice towers and 6 wooden structures with new steel structures on concrete foundations. Specifically, JCP&L seeks to install 41 new structures consisting of 48 steel poles on concrete foundations along an approximately 6-mile stretch of the existing corridor. The new structures are proposed to have heights ranging from 62 feet to approximately 197 feet. All of the proposed work will occur within JCP&L's existing right-of-way. There is no condemnation proposed, there's no eminent domain required. The project will be utilizing the existing corridor. The properties subject to this application encompass JCP&L's existing right-of-way and are located within the township's RUP Rural Preservation Zone, the R80 Rural Residential Zone, the R130 Residential Zone, the R170 Rural Environmental Zone, and the Highway Commercial Zone. Public utilities are not expressly permitted within the HC zone and are conditionally permitted within the RUP zone, the R170 zone, the R80 zone, and the R130 zone. The proposed structures exceed the maximum height in each zone. Accordingly, JCP&L is seeking D1 use variance relief, D3 conditional use variance relief, and D6 height variance relief from the board this evening. For our witnesses, first we will present the testimony of Larry Hozempa, First Energy's General Manager of Planning, to explain the NJCEC project scope and purpose. We'll then have Gregory Brown, an engineer with Burns and McDonnell. Greg is the transmission line engineer. Greg's going to discuss the design and details of the new steel structures proposed by this application. We'll then have Jeffrey Morris, an engineer with Boswell Engineering. Mr. Morris is the project site plan engineer, to explain the new improvements and to address the comments we received in the review letters. We'll then have Amy Jones, the project's environmental consultant. Amy's with Du Bois & Associates. Amy will provide an overview of the environmental permitting for this project. And finally, our professional planner, Christine Cafone, will discuss the variance relief being sought this evening by the applicant. So with that, unless there are any questions for me, we'll go ahead and call our first witness.
Mr. Chair, I say go right ahead.
Thank you.
Let's get this
Call
started.
Mr. Lawrence Hozempa.
And members of the public, you've heard the outline prepared by council. So the process, the way it works is, if you've never been to one of these meetings, the witnesses are going to come testify. There'll be times where the board will interrupt, ask questions, or may not ask questions. They'll present all those 4 witnesses or whatever 5 they indicated. The board, all the members of the public, we don't open it up to questions every witness, because sometimes your question is 3 witnesses away because that's your concern. So we let the applicant produce all their witnesses so you can hear everything, okay? And then once they're done with their case, you'll be given an opportunity to ask any of their professionals who testify any questions you want. Just ask not to be repetitive if the same person keeps on asking the same question. You will also have an opportunity at the same time to give a statement to the board. You could say, hey, like it, don't like it, I want this changed, whatever. You'll have that opportunity, so at no point we're gonna just cut you down and say, we're done, we don't need to hear from you. You'll have ample opportunity to ask any questions, set forth your concerns regarding the application, but for a lot of people that have never been to a board, I want you to be aware of how the process is going to work. I don't know if the application is gonna be completed tonight, so we may get done and carried to another meeting as well. But we'll get to that in the next couple hours. Okay? Sir, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the following testimony about to give is the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name for the record, spelling your last name, sir.
My name is Lawrence Hozempa, Hozempa.
Mr. Hozempa, I'd like to have you qualified. Can you please provide the board with a brief overview of your educational background and work history, please?
Yes, I can. I graduated from the Pennsylvania State University with a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering and began working with West Penn Power Company after my graduation. The first 14 years of my career I spent in the distribution planning organization doing planning for the distribution systems across the West Penn Power service territory. I then moved into the transmission planning group 26 years ago and have been doing transmission planning since then. So I planned for the Allegheny Energy System, and then with the merger of First Energy, I began doing transmission planning for the First Energy transmission system as well. I moved from a planning engineer to a consulting engineer to a supervisor of planning, and then to a manager of transmission planning, and now in my current position as general manager, I took this role in 2018. So altogether about 39 years of experience in the utility business, most of that in the transmission side.
And your licenses in New Jersey are still active and in good standing?
Yes, that is correct.
I'd like
Thank you,
to,
Mr. Ozempa. We will accept your credentials.
thank you. So, Mr. Hozempa, can you please provide the board with a general overview of the New Jersey Clean Energy Corridor project? So, in other words, why are we here this evening?
Yes, former Governor Murphy, by executive order in 2018, directed the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities, the BPU, to develop develop a statewide clean energy plan. In 2019, the original master plan was released that included the development of 7,500 megawatts of offshore wind generation. In 2021, the New Jersey BPU coordinated with PJM, who is the regional transmission organization, to solicit project proposals to build the necessary transmission infrastructure to meet New Jersey's goal. JCP&L was awarded several projects, including the projects before the board this evening through that solicitation.
Why are these improvements being made to the existing transmission corridor? What is the purpose or the reason for these new improvements?
Primarily, these improvements were developed to ensure the reliable delivery of offshore wind generation. Because of that, certain transmission infrastructure needed to be upgraded to make sure that delivery took place efficiently and effectively. So one of the reasons that the JCP&L project were selected by the BPU and PJM was the use of our existing transmission line corridors. We're upgrading the transmission lines on existing corridors. New right-of-way will not be required, and the environmental impact is limited to where a transmission line already exists. In addition, the improvements to the transmission infrastructure will not only facilitate integration of offshore wind, but it will also provide increased capacity to the overall transmission network. In other words, the benefits of the upgraded transmission lines are not unidirectional, but power will flow along the transmission lines in either direction depending upon the system needs at the time.
What type of benefits will be provided after the improvements are installed? And specifically, what are the local benefits to Millstone?
Primarily, the benefits to the township of Millstone will be the rebuilt transmission lines that will indirectly serve the residents in Millstone. There's about 10,000 residents of Millstone, I believe, and by our count at JCP&L, a little bit over 4,000 meters in Millstone Township.
And do these improvements only serve Millstone Township residents, or do these upgrades also provide service to residents and businesses outside of Millstone?
The improvements will support the transmission system in the area, so it's not just Millstone Township that will benefit, but the improvements will benefit other residents and businesses beyond Millstone Township.
What I'd like to have you do now is highlight some of the additional and very important benefits that will be provided by the CEC project. So first, what are the local benefits to Millstone Township?
Well, to build that up, let me start at the top and work my way down. It might be easier that way. So we have a transmission system that more or less acts like the highways of the power. So that delivers the power across a region. And then from the transmission system, it is stepped down to a local lower voltage transmission system. In this area, it's the 34.5 kV transmission system. And that is what serves the substations that then step down to distribution voltage. So the distribution circuits are kind of more like the residential streets. So that goes to everybody's home, the distribution circuits, but that's fed off the more major roads, the 34.5 kV system, and again, coming from the highways, this is the transmission system. So by reinforcing the transmission system, we'll also support the lower voltage systems, including the distribution system as well, provide more reliable power.
Thank you. I understand, you mentioned earlier, offshore wind was initially the primary driver for the overall improvements that we have discussed this evening. However, you mentioned there are other benefits provided by the replacement of these structures. In other words, there are ancillary benefits. How does the increased capacity to the overall transmission network in this area provide ancillary benefits to the public?
Well, again, because the transmission system is more like a highway, it provides that support that's necessary to get the power where it's needed during adverse system conditions, as well as whenever there's high loads on the system. So it will benefit this area because it'll provide that additional transmission capacity to feed into the lower voltage systems, and then also provide support to the transmission systems around the area. And the lines we're talking about this evening are actually, what we would consider kind of reaching the end of their useful life. They've been in the ground for over 60 years. The wire's been in the air for over 60 years, so they're kind of reaching the end of their useful life, and we'd be looking at an opportunity to replace all those facilities in the very near future. And it seems like a very opportune time to take advantage of what's going on with the Energy Master Plan in New Jersey to get that addressed.
You mentioned earlier one of your roles at First Energy is to plan for the future. That you and your team are responsible for researching and determining how First Energy will comply with federal standards to ensure that there is sufficient, reliable transmission of electric energy to central New Jersey in the years to come. How does the increased capacity to the overall transmission network provide a future benefit to the residents and businesses in Millstone?
Well, the transmission line corridor, we're going to rebuild it with a 500 kV circuit in it, and the existing 230 kV circuit will be in the corridor as well. So that's preparing for the future and building for the future. The federal standards for transmission reliability continue to increase and become more rigorous. We expect that to continue to raise that bar on transmission reliability. So we need to be prepared for that change. In addition, end user expectations are changing. I think everybody's more reliable on their electric today, and they want it to be on all the time. And things that are happening on the system as well, like the development of the electric vehicles, more people are using electric vehicles, and now also with the transition from fossil fuel heating to electric heating, so that electrification of building infrastructure is changing. That increases the demand on the system as well. So this is providing that additional reliability, resiliency, and capacity that we need on the system.
Thank you. And one more question. You mentioned JCP&L's adding a 500 kV circuit. How does this fit into the existing transmission system in Millstone, which is also next to East Windsor and Freehold?
Yeah, and that's a very good question. Let me explain why the 500 kV circuit is so important in this particular area. Because right now, the substation in Freehold, which is Smithburg Substation, is one of the major sources into the 230 kV transmission system. It's fed from a radial 500 kV line that comes out of a public service station. It actually serves down to the Smithburg substation. It's just a single line radial into Smithburg. East Windsor has a line that actually passes through it, but it also provides 230 kV support from the 500 kV system. So this 500 kV line actually closes that link and completes the loop between those substations to make that 500 kV system more reliable to continue to support the 230 kV system, which is really the backbone of what the local area needs.
Thank you, Mr. Hozempa. That will conclude our direct testimony for Mr. Hozempa.
I have a few questions. You mentioned this was started because of the wind generation out in the ocean. I thought that was canceled.
It is not canceled.
Or not canceled, but
It's being delayed,
Delayed.
yes.
but it's still gonna happen?
Well, I certainly hope it does. I can't say for sure that it's going to happen, or I can't say that it's not. It's still a possibility, but regardless of whether offshore wind happens or not, we still have, the facilities we're talking about tonight are actually part of the existing transmission network. So we're upgrading the existing transmission network to provide additional capacity, so whether offshore wind happens or not is not really going to matter to these projects, because we'll be building capacity into the system. And that capacity, as we're seeing increased load on the system, will be there. So it'll provide that additional reliability and resiliency that we're looking for.
And you said several times you're increasing capacity. So the capacity because there's more homes, there's more need. Is that what you mean by capacity?
Yeah, it's load growth on the system that we deal with every day. We're seeing, there's kind of an ongoing battle with the load between what's growing more quickly. We see businesses developing, we see electrical vehicles coming, and we know that in New Jersey there's a particular initiative to remove fossil fuel heating from buildings and go to electric heating. So that's going to drive up the demand as well. So we see all these things happening simultaneously. And so again, the capacity is needed. We know that the future is going to just continue to grow with the electric demand.
And can you tell us capacity from going from what now to what is planned? Is there a number? Is it 200 to 500? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, that's the difference in the voltage of the lines. One will still be 230 kV and the other one will be 500 kV. I do not know what the capacity of those lines are off the top of my head. I couldn't really
What would
quote
make
you a
the
number,
new
but
thing be able to handle more cables? What makes it more able to handle more
yeah, the
capacity?
230 kV will be a higher capacity conductor than's out there today, and of course the 500 kV being at a higher voltage will be able to handle more capacity as well.
So by changing the voltage,
Yeah.
you just have more availability, but the cables themselves are relatively the same sizes? The old to new? You said they're getting replaced, right? The cables themselves?
Yes.
So
Yeah, everything in that
are they
corridor.
bigger, or are they just the same?
Well, they'll be bigger. They'll have more capacity.
Okay.
And again, the structures that are there today, they're over 60 years old, and so we would have to be doing upgrades in this corridor in the very near future. And so, this is just a project we would have on the table, probably in the next several years, even without the New Jersey offshore wind initiative. But, we developed this project as part of that, but it's something that we needed to do anyway.
How many lines do you have now? And how many lines are you proposing on the towers? The same amount, more, just quantity?
Okay, well,
It's not, it's just a quantity question.
well, there's two ways to answer that question, because when you say a line, to me, that's a circuit. But to some people, that's the individual conductors. So are you talking about the individual conductors, the wires themselves, or the circuits?
I'm talking about the wires that go from one tower to the
Okay,
next
all
tower.
right. So if you look on the top diagram, which is the existing corridor, there's two wires at the very top of those towers. Those are static wires. They're there to shield the transmission line from lightning. So there's two wires there. And then there's three wires on either side of the tower underneath that. So for a total of 6 transmission wires that actually carry current. So there's 8 wires there. Now, if you look at the bottom structures, you'll have the static wires will still be up there on top of the tower, so those two will still be the same. And on one side of the tower, you'll have a 230 kV circuit, and I don't actually remember what the construction type is, if that's more than 1 wire per phase or not. But on the 500 kV side, you actually have 3 wires per phase, so you'll have 9 wires on that one side of the tower. But again, you'll have 3 bundles. So one bundle will be 3 wires, and on top of that will be 3 wires, and on top of that will be 3 wires. It'll look like a single wire for the most part, but it actually is made up of 3 separate wires. And again, I don't remember what the actual design is of the 230 kV side, but Mr. Brown, when he's up here, will be able to answer that question.
What's the expected EMR increase with this additional voltage going through?
Sorry, I don't know what EMR is.
In electromagnetic radiation
Okay.
emitted from these wires.
Yeah, and again, that depends on how much current is passing through the line. The electric field is due to the voltage, so obviously with the 230 and the 500, it'll be different than it is today with just the 230 kV circuit. So that
It would be an expected
the electric field will change, yes. I don't know what that will be, but it will change. Now, the magnetic field depends on how much current is passing through the line at any particular time. So on a very light loaded day when there's not a lot of usage on the system, that magnetic field will be very low. But if there's a heavy load on the system, or there's something out of service and more power is flowing down this corridor, it'll be higher. Now, what that is, again, I don't know. I'm not an expert in that field, but I just know that's how it changes.
Will you have a witness that can comment on that, Mr. Nadeau?
Yes.
I have a couple of questions.
Thank you.
So, I wanted to ask, the existing towers that are there, how long could they last if nothing was done at all? Would they last another 5 years, 50 years, 500 years? Nothing was done at all.
Yeah, and that's a good question. And we obviously maintain our facilities. We go out there and do periodic inspections, but we know that when they reach this age out in the elements, not only the towers themselves, but all the hardware on that tower, the conductors, there's all that stuff that is now prone to failure. And so we start seeing what we call an increased maintenance trend. We're out there fixing things on a more regular basis, and it ends up being a lot of repairs. Same thing happens to your car. You can keep it running if you keep sinking enough money into it, rebuild the motor, rebuild the, redoing all the brake lines, all that stuff. You can continue to keep it running. So we're kind of at that stage now where we're seeing that trend increase, and we can go out and basically buy a new car at this point and save ourselves a lot of maintenance money and time.
So the monopoles that you're proposing to install in place of the lattice structures, what new technology is going to be on those that is different than what's on the lattice structures? What new technology that's not going to need maintenance and occasional repairs?
Well, I don't think by putting the new steel poles in, we're not trying to indicate that we'll never have to go out there and do anything. But the steel poles tend to last longer than the lattice towers. So there is still an age to them that eventually they will age out and something will need to be done as well. They're on concrete foundations, and obviously concrete doesn't last forever either. So there's all that stuff eventually ages. Even the conductor will age at some point. So how long that lasts, I don't know. It'll be longer than the lattice towers, and obviously these lattice towers are already reaching the end of their life.
So while we're talking about transmission, I've lived here for 30 years, and some of those run in our area where I live, but I can't really see if there's maintenance vehicles out there. But I do know that we lose power, frequently in Millstone Township all over town, and usually it's not because of these transmission lines. It's usually because of the lower hanging stuff that's alongside the roadways and trees gets in it. So how, that seems to be the reliability problem in Millstone, not so much these. These I don't ever see these having a big problem, or even learning about these having a big problem. So, but I also wanted to ask if the executive order was signed in 2018. It's 8 years later now. Is there a reason why it's taken so long to hurry up?
Well, again, the executive order was signed in 2018. The Energy Master Plan was released in 2019, and then these awards for this project were given to JCP now in 2021. So, that was 5 years ago. Now, of course, the projects that we're working on, they take time to develop as well. We've got to get a lot of things in motion. And we've got to, again, like tonight, we're seeking approval to do these things. And as Mr. Nadell stated earlier, we've already received approval in many of the municipalities to start moving forward with these projects. But acquisition of material, time to engineer the projects, do all the, as you'll hear from Mrs. Jones later, about the permitting and everything that we're doing to get these projects moving. It just takes time to get there. And that's why our planning process, when we're looking at transmission planning, we're looking 5 years out and beyond, because it takes so long to get the things you need. If we needed something tomorrow, It's not going to happen. We need something next year, it's not going to happen. We can't get things done that quickly. It just takes so long to do these big projects. So that's why we plan for the future.
So what's the relation between this system and the offshore wind generation, the electric generation from the wind projects offshore?
Well, when we did our planning analysis, assuming that there was going to be offshore wind, that amount of energy being injected on the coast has to make it into the rest of the transmission system. So we look at how that power is going to flow based on where the generation is coming into the system and where it is serving load elsewhere on the system to make sure that we can meet all the federal standards to ensure reliability for the transmission system. So we run our full battery of analyses on all the different things we have to study to ensure we meet the standard, with that assumption that there's offshore wind and then it's delivering that energy to load. That determined where we needed to make the transmission upgrades on the existing transmission system. Now, if you take offshore wind out of the equation, even considering the age of these facilities, we know that load is going to continue to grow in New Jersey. We see it happening, so we have to address that as well. So we know that if these facilities, which are part of the existing network today, that power doesn't just flow one direction. That transmission line doesn't really care which direction the power is flowing. It just has the capacity to deliver that power wherever it is needed. So in this case, without offshore wind, if there's load on the shore and the generation's onshore, that'll provide that capacity to get that load, to serve the energy from the sources to that load on the shore. So it'll support the continued growth of the load in this area.
So with all of the new energy efficient equipment that people have in their homes, and that is the only thing available for us to purchase now, and all the new lower or more efficient lighting systems in the world, this did not reduce the capacity or the load on the system?
It absolutely did.
Okay.
It absolutely did. And that's why over the past probably maybe 20, 25 years or so, load growth has been relatively flat. So basically we've squeezed all the water out of the sponge at this point. And so now we need to start, looking at that load growth coming back, especially as people's now, we can continue to drive gasoline-powered vehicles, and then we don't have to worry about charging electric vehicles. We can continue to use oil or natural gas to heat our homes, and we won't have to worry about being able to provide electric service to electric heated homes. But that's not the direction we're going. We're getting more electric vehicles. That's driving demand. That's driving usage. Same thing when you start removing gas heat and oil heat from homes. That adds electric demand to the system. We have to meet that need. We're also seeing a lot of businesses start to grow here in New Jersey, even data centers, that's a huge amount of load that comes on the system in these large blocks we have to be able to serve.
So I don't know if this is the right witness to ask about infrastructure and the design of the poles and stuff like that. Is that something that you're going to have your engineer present?
Mr. Brown, our next witness, will talk about the design of the new structures.
So I don't know who we asked this question to, but we do have a lot of outages in Millstone Township. And I think that's what really needs to be addressed by JCP&L. I mean, if this is significant infrastructure going into our town, and it would be nice if there was a proposal to put all those troubled areas underground so they're not troubled anymore. That could actually help the town. But there's no proposal for that here.
We're only talking about the transmission infrastructure this evening. I know JCP&L does have several initiatives underway to improve the distribution circuit reliability. I don't know if they have anything planned in this area or not. But I mean, my team works closely with the JCP&L distribution team. We have several projects underway to improve the reliability for residential customers in several areas. Again, I don't know if Millstone's on that list right now or not, but those are things we do look at. We do have concern about that. We work hand in hand with them to make sure that we can. Obviously, distribution is part of the solution, but also transmission is part of that solution to make sure we can provide adequate supply to the distribution system.
Okay.
So just to follow up what Steve was saying, so aside from the improved infrastructure to increase the capacity, you don't know or are not aware of any provisions to do any additional vegetation management to clear the lines that actually serve the community that are always the trouble points in this town?
Yeah, again, I'm on the transmission side of the business. Me and my team work with the distribution side of the business, but I do not know what their specific plans are for, improving reliability, particularly in Millstone.
And I guess the next witness will answer questions as far as the tower structures and foundations.
That's what we're
But
gonna
as
get.
far as the wires, we're looking at your existing and proposed, looks like we're going from approximately 6 wires or so, plus or minus, to about 12. Is that accurate?
Should we have Greg confirm?
Yeah,
All
Greg
right,
can
we're gonna have Greg, our next witness,
Okay.
confirm that.
Fair enough.
Okay, before we let him sit down, Mr. Nadel, just real quick. I know you indicated to me previously you flew in a couple witnesses. Is he one of them?
He may have drove instead of flew, but he came from far away.
How far did you come from, sir?
Western Pennsylvania.
That's not far.
Oh, how west?
How far west?
I'm just east of Pittsburgh.
Okay, that's far west. Okay. No, but my only point was, I knew you had a couple of witnesses that have a long way to get here. So, and I see a ton of public here, and maybe this doesn't finish tonight. So, let's get to those witnesses, and we may potentially go out of order and allow the public to ask questions of these witnesses that drove 10 hours to get here or flew in, so maybe they don't have to come back, but at least give the public the opportunity to ask them questions at this time if we're not going to be finished tonight.
So this might actually work out really well, because Mr. Hozempa and Mr. Brown, who's up next, are the two who came from far away. And our other witnesses, they're more local. So if, I agree, let's get their.
All right, let's get your next witness, then we'll,
I got a quick
Before you
question.
move on.
oh yeah, sure.
How many towers are in this line altogether? Existing?
Mr. Brown coming up next.
But we're not replacing all of them, right? With just some of them? All of them? I saw some plans, some tower was still there on your plans.
I think the opening was, there's 37 lattice, 6 wood. There's going to be new 41, 48 steel poles. So,
I remember seeing the drawing show some of the towers, nothing against it.
We're gonna get into that next.
Okay.
Yep.
So I
Thank
do.
you.
Yep. This was
I do
the,
have one more question. I don't know if it's for this witness.
Sure.
So the lines that are there now, do you know what the approximate diameter of that line is, those lines?
I do not know off the
Is
top
that
of my
a
head.
question for your next witness?
Mr. Brown may know that.
Is that a question for Mr. Brown?
I believe so.
Then I'll wait for Mr. Brown.
Would you be able to speak to project phasing in terms of construction and if residents or the broader region can expect disruptions in service during that time period?
Mr. Morris will speak to
Mr.
that.
Morris, okay, thank you.
I'm the need guy. Why
Okay.
do we need it?
Mr. Hozempa's here to tell the story.
It's part of the story.
Anybody else got anything from Mr. Hozempa?
Okay.
Good.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Hozempa.
Mr. Hozempa.
We'll
Appreciate
call our
it.
next witness, Mr. Gregory Brown.
Sir, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the following testimony about to give is the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
See, please state your name for the record, spelling your last name, sir.
Gregory Brown, B-R-O-W-N.
Mr. Brown, can you please provide the board with a brief overview of your credentials and your current employment?
Yes, went to Missouri State University, got my civil engineering degree. From there, got hired at Burns & McDonnell, have worked in transmission line engineering for over 12 years there. Have my professional engineering license in 5 states, one of them being New Jersey. It is current and active.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Appreciate it. We will accept your PE credentials.
Thank you. So, Mr. Brown, we have the exhibit in front of us, which, for the record, is A13. Did you and your staff prepare this exhibit in preparation of tonight's hearing?
Yes.
Thank you. And referring to the exhibit, can you please provide the board with an overview of the transmission line corridor, along with an overview of the existing infrastructure along the transmission line corridor?
Yes, certainly. So starting with the top there, that is the existing infrastructure. And as was noted earlier, there is 37 existing lattice towers, 6 wood H-frames, and those H-frames are 2 poles each, so a total of 12 wood poles. Those will all be removed. The average height across those structures is 119 feet, and they were installed 1959. Our proposed structures, there are 41 structures, which consists of 48 poles, because some of those are multi-pole structures. Our average height on the new poles is 174 feet, and that will be all built within the existing 180-foot right-of-way. We'll center it in the right-of-way 90 foot from edge to edge. So the photo simulation that's been created, that kind of gives you a better picture of what's out there versus what it will look like. So as we kind of talked about earlier, there is currently one circuit that is out there. It is built as a 6-wire configuration, which simply means there's 6 wires instead of the normal 3 that would be on a double circuit line. However, that's just one circuit. So we're taking that circuit with the new infrastructure and moving that circuit to one side. So there's 6 wires, 6 conductors out there now. Those will be moved over to one side. So there will still be 6 wires on that side as the 230 kV line. And as Mr. Ozempa stated, the new 500 kV line that will be installed will be 3 conductors per phase each, so there'll be a total of 9 conductors on the other side.
When you say the word conductors, for the public and non-PEs, do you mean physical wires?
Yes, those are the wires that will transmit the electricity.
Okay.
And there's also the static
I just
wires.
wanted to make clear what you're talking about.
Yep,
Okay.
So you're going from 6 to 15.
that's correct.
And just to Mr. Hozempa's point previously, some of those wires are going to be bundled together, so they'll be a thicker diameter than what we're seeing today, but all in one group.
So they will be bundled. So, like I said, so since there's 6 out there now that will be moved over, they'll be bundled 2, 2, 2, and 2. And then on the 500 kV side, they are bundled as a group of 3.
Three and 3.
Yep.
Okay.
The 230 kV wires are the same diameter, so it's 1.5 inches. That diameter will remain the same. And then the 500 kV diameter is actually 1.345 inches, but there's 3 of them, so yeah, there's a higher capacity there. So as I mentioned, the structures do have to get taller because of that 500 kV circuit that is being installed. Because like the existing shows, they're stacked vertically on top of each other. And so in order for the 500 kV to remain safe, it must maintain 38 feet distance from each conductor vertically. So do the little pointer here. So we have here and here, both of those areas must maintain 38 feet.
Can you explain what 38 feet to safety means?
Yeah, so we don't want the wires to get too close to each other to where they'll arc and flash. And so that 38 feet maintains that electrical clearance distance for a number of weather conditions.
So you mean there's flapping in the breeze, that kind of thing, that they hit each other? That's what you're trying to avoid?
There's wind, there's also ice, there's ice jumping. So a lot of times a wire can have ice and then the one below it can have ice, but then that may fall off. And so there's differences in the sag across the line. So we have spans that can be over 1,000 feet, and so the sag is up to 40 or 50 feet in those lines. And so if you have just any variation, you know, we're trying to, we want to make sure that there is safe electrical clearance there.
And again, for layman people, is this something like the 3 wires that come into your house, is 3 different potentials? Each one has a different potential, they all the same potential? I'm trying to understand, like, if they touch, what's gonna happen? Will they, is it hot to ground kind of thing?
No, those, all 3 conductor wires are hot, so yeah, they will flash if they come in
But they're
contact
both
with
the
each
same,
other.
they're all the same potential, so what's jumping if it's the same potential? Electrical potential.
That's not, I'm not an electrical engineer, so it's probably not my strong suit. But they are different phases,
Different phases.
yeah.
All right, so there is a difference between each bundle in phase. Okay. Thank you.
So I assume the 38-foot separation requirement, there's a factor of safety built into that?
There's a factor of safety, a buffer, for a lot of different reasons. One of them, just unknowns of weather and construction and that sort of thing. And so also, we'll continue just with, I mentioned the 38 feet conductor to conductor. There's also a PGM requirement for shielding, so that's that static wire that is on top of the structure. So we have to have 26 feet from that static wire to the conductor below it, and that just protects it from any lightning strikes. And then, as I mentioned, we could have up to 40 to 50 feet of sag because of how long these spans are, and with just a high temperature or a heavy ice load, we can have a great amount of sag. And then we have to maintain 36 feet of ground clearance at the lowest point of the conductor. And so adding all those things up, as well as just uneven terrain in the area, that's why these structures need to get to that 174 average height.
I got another just quick general question for you with the separation. Is there any minimum separation distance required for, let's say, a billboard that may be existing in the right-of-way?
Yes, so anything that's out there, any building, billboard, fence, we were checking clearances to all that.
Is there a fixed number for that? 10 feet, 20 feet, 50 feet?
So for the 500 kV for to a building or billboard, it's 20 feet of clearance, and that's checked to a number of weather cases, including high wind and ice as well.
Thank you. Appreciate the clarification. It was more for another application that came up.
We also have a couple of these towers that have AT&T or Verizon have their cables on that. I understand that's going to be gone.
Yes, that is correct. Mr. Morris, we'll talk more about that, but
And we
those will all
can't
be
have
gone.
those here anymore. This new poles cannot have cable.
Yeah, for this project, we're not planning to have those on there.
So we have to find some other places.
When you say this project, you know, for the 20-plus years that I've been doing this, we've always heard that you can't put cell towers on these poles. And now if you drive down the turnpike, you see them on the poles. And they're on poles here. When you say not on this project, are you saying that because of you're going to the higher voltage, and I'm being very generic with that would interfere for whatever your reasons, whether it's safety, durability, operational, those cell towers would be affected by the new high voltage wire? Or, you know what, we just don't want them on our poles anymore?
So, Mr. Morris, our site plan engineer, has the answer about cellular. I know,
Okay.
I don't mean to keep saying our
No,
next
that's fine.
witness, but Mr. Brown is the engineer who designed the new structures and ready to testify about the structures.
Okay, well, put that with. the
But
next
yes,
witness.
Mr. Morris will explain what's happening with the antennas.
So, okay, I'm sorry.
No.
You seemed like you had a question.
No, I was gonna tell him to continue, but if you have a question, please.
Okay, I do. So,
That's what I thought, okay.
the transmission lines that exist now, I wanted to ask earlier, what is the diameter of the existing transmission lines that are in Millstone now?
The diameter of the conductor?
Yeah,
of
get
the
an
wire?
approximate diameter of that conductor.
1.5 inches.
Okay, and what is the diameter of the proposed conductor?
For that same circuit, the 230 kV, it is the same size, so it's 1.5
Proposed.
inches.
The proposed circuit, whatever you're proposing now, it's going to be the same size, the same size conductor?
Of that 230 kV circuit, correct, yes.
Okay, what about the 5 kV circuit that you've been talking,
Yeah.
that your team's been talking about?
Yeah, the 500 kV circuit, it's actually a 1.345 inches, but there's 3 wires per phase.
Okay, per bundle.
Correct, yeah, so yeah.
So we're looking at 3 times the size of the cabling that the naked eye can see through the air from a distance or from close up,
It's gonna
correct?
be 4 inches in diameter almost.
So they're spaced apart to help because they can't be right on top of each other as
36
well.
feet.
So
36 feet, right?
So
Or
each
38 feet, or
each
whatever.
phase here, so as you can kind of see, they have, spacers between them.
Okay.
So that's 18 inches of space between each of those wires.
So they're not, so they're not really bundled as we use the term bundle.
Because they're not touching.
They're not touching it.
They're suspended. They're suspended with an 18-inch roughly diameter, let's call it. You actually have a spanner in there that's keeping the three wires apart
Yes.
for the entire run.
Yep. That's
So
correct.
now so that the visual experience that you see today is 1.5 inches, and the visual experience that's being proposed is 3 of those held apart by, let's say, a spider that has arms on it that's holding them apart, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And how many of those runs will there be on each, down the corridor?
So
How
when you
many
say
of
runs,
those 3 bundled units?
there's 3. Yep.
3?
Correct. So on the
Or there will be,
Yep. So each of the 3 levels of conductor, yep, there will be 3. And then on the other side, there will be the 2 wires.
and they have to be 38 feet apart.
Yep, on the 500 kV, correct, yep.
To continue? You can continue, Mr. Brown.
So, I do have a few more questions. So, what would happen if nothing is done to the current infrastructure in Millstone Township? What would happen if, you weren't here tonight and it just existed the way it is now?
From, I guess, from a civil engineering standpoint, I may not be the best person to answer this. But as Mr. Ozempa stated, probably the biggest thing on my side is that nearing the end of useful life. As I mentioned, these structures were installed in 1959, so they've been out there for quite a long time. So replacing them is of a great interest because of reliability. And so the added benefit is, we now add that 500 kV circuit to increase the capacity as well.
So, somebody testified that these lines have been here since when?
1959.
1959?
Yep.
Where are the wooden structures that are holding these lines in Millstone?
They are,
There are 6 wooden structures. They're probably poles, right?
yeah, correct. They're, 6 wood poles. They are at the east side of Millstone, close to the Smithburg substation.
Okay.
So based on the current storm, or the previous storm we just had with a lot of wind, rain, ice, if we get that half-inch ice buildup, or larger than half-inch ice the capacity of the towers potentially can't handle it.
Yeah, I can't say what the existing towers are designed for. The new steel poles are certainly designed to a stricter standard than they were, and yeah, that goes beyond that half-inch ice, as well as up to 100-mile-an-hour wind is what we designed the new steel poles for.
So I got a follow-up question about height. So if your lowest conductors should be 36 feet off the ground, or off the grade, right? And you need 38 feet between each of the conductors to be safe, correct? That adds up to a total of 150 feet, which is almost similar to what we have there now, what's in Millstone now. And I understand that the topography changes in Millstone. But when you put a 150-foot pole at a lower level in Millstone and a 150-foot pole in a higher level in Millstone, can't the lines just follow the poles and keep with those height standards that I just called out?
So the last missing piece of that is that last 26 feet that I talked about that we need to maintain from that top conductor to the static wire. So that's this little bit up here at the top. That's to protect the lines from a lightning strike. So if you add that, that gets you up to that 174 feet that I talked about.
So what is protecting the lines from a lightning strike today?
There's currently a static wire up there as well, but at a 230 kV voltage, the shielding, what we call the shielding angle, which is how far horizontally it can be from, you know, the conductor's here, how far can that static wire be horizontally away from that conductor. It doesn't have to be as strict on a 230 kV, but on the 500 kV, it needs to be over the top of it, and because of that, it needs to maintain a higher clearance as well because it's a higher voltage. So that gets you 26 feet as opposed to the 20 feet that the 230 kV has out there now.
So the height is really about the 500 kV.
That's
The
correct.
height changes,
Yeah,
not the 230 on the one side.
yeah, that's the main driver.
The 500 kV, because we're kind of looking at it as a macro, right? Because you're just looking at Millstone. But obviously this line goes, multiple counties. Where is the 500 line starting at? And where is that? Is that at a source of electricity? Where is it, the new 500 start, and where does it end? Is that an answer, a question you can answer? Because that's where you're putting in a new one. That's
Yeah.
causing all this. What is like the beginning and end of it? Like, hey, we're putting it from this to this because, so we have the full story rather than just look at a slice of the pizza, which doesn't give us the full picture of what's going on.
So it's going from, I'll give you just a small slice of that pizza. I can't talk to the whole big picture, but East Windsor substation to Smithburg substation. And so, yeah, those are on the two, adjacent townships to Millstone.
No. Where is it?
Yeah, that's for this project, and outside of that, I'm not there.
That's fair.
What Greg is saying is that's a Mr. Hozempa question that we can
Okay.
have Mr. Hozempa answer.
Well, maybe because I think that's important. Mr. Hozempa, could you answer that question? He's here. Could you come to the mic real quick? So that the board gets an idea, it's very clear that a lot of this is driven by not only that the existing structures are 60-plus years old, okay, but this new 500 kV line, right? Since it's new, where is it beginning and where is it ending?
Well, yeah. Is this microphone, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to remember that, none of these lines operate.
Apologize.
No, maybe not.
It powers off by itself.
But and if maybe the question's wrong, but maybe you could explain what it's for.
No, I understand the question, but none of the lines that we're talking about tonight operate in isolation. Everything we're talking about is part of a transmission network, and that's the key. I mean, if we build a highway, between East Windsor and Smithburg, but don't connect it to anything, we're not gonna have very many cars on the highway, right? So what we're doing is we're adding another part of the highway to an existing highway system. So the 500 kV system is networked already. This link we're building actually closes the network in a place where that network is now open. But the 500 kV line that it's connecting to, the one coming up from South Jersey, runs all the way up from South Jersey, all the way up to the northern state line. And that's where it ends. So, I mean, there's a lot of 500 kV, and then there's multiple connections that then, like a spider web, go off of that. Right now, Smithburg has just a one line coming from that one substation. It's a public service substation. It goes to Smithburg. We're actually closing the loop, so now Smithburg will be part of the network itself, rather than hanging off of a single 500 kV line. So it's all part of the network, but there, I mean, the generation in South Jersey feeds into that 500 kV system, you know, and so that's where that energy's coming from. But then there's other generation connected in Pennsylvania, you know, other generation connected elsewhere. It all feeds into that 500 kV system.
So this is not a new line, it's a new line. But you're really connecting it to another 500 line that's over here, and there's another 500 line here, and you're closing the gap. Is that fair?
Correct.
Is that fair to say? Rather than,
That's correct.
because it gets confusing when you start talking, hey, we got this wind turbine thing, and we're doing this, and we're getting this 500 line, you would think that it would go directly to the wind turbine entrance, right? That's what was a little confusing. I just want to clear it up, because you say it was all because of wind turbine, so you would easily believe that the 500 would go to the wind turbine substation, and you're running a line out of it. But that's not what you're doing. You're just kind of closing a loop between existing 500, running it down this corridor. Is that fair to say?
That is correct. All of the transmission infrastructure that was designed just for the offshore wind connections is all on hold. So the only things that we're continuing to pursue are things that are part of the regular transmission network that would provide benefit to the system overall, with or without the offshore wind. This is one of those projects.
Right, but if the offshore wind is the prime driver, you're trying to make all these connections and investing in all this infrastructure. What happens if the wind doesn't happen? Then you have a big upgraded system that doesn't have the wind, right? That doesn't have the wind feeding it?
That is correct, but again, these are part of the existing transmission network, and as we just discussed, this is actually closing a link of the 500 kV system that is now open.
Right.
It'll provide a more resilient and reliable system across this area between the 500 kV and the 230 kV upgrades that we're making. That's part of the existing network, and again, the power can flow any direction on these facilities, so wherever the power is needed, that's where it will flow. And so, you know, I mean, you know, system conditions, as generation changes, as load changes, as transmission elements fail and go out of service, or we're doing maintenance on something, this will provide that additional pathway for power to flow where it's needed.
So basically it creates some redundancy in case something fails over here, you can redirect it to refeed the grid.
Correct.
Okay.
So this could help Millstone on power outages. If a source of our power outage is something that happened in East Windsor or Freehold, this could help, and then you can change around where the power's coming into to Millstone, is that correct?
Yeah, and again, we have layers of network. We have a 500 kV network, the 230 kV network, and the 34.5 kV network. So all those network systems operate together. So yeah, we're enhancing that network's capability.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Brown.
We've concluded Mr. Brown's direct testimony.
Oh, okay. Just, I got a general question for you with regard to the towers that are going up. Are they doing like spread footings, or are they going to be drilling caissons for each of the new towers?
Yeah, there will be concrete drilled shafts.
Drilled shafts, okay. There's enough clearance in the right-of-way to get that down the center, to get a drill rig in there?
Yeah, horizontally. So yeah, the easement that's currently that JCP now.
Yeah, I know you have a 180-foot easement
Yep.
and a right-of-way,
Mhm.
but when you're going to put in that drill rig to start drilling your caisson, is there enough clearance where that's going to drill your shaft to your wires, because that's gonna be elevated up.
Oh, to the existing,
Yes, to
to the existing circuit?
Because I'm assuming these new poles are gonna be replacing the towers, but kind of offset where their existing towers are.
Yeah, that's correct. For the most part, there are instances where we go back in a very similar location. They will have to maintain clearance if there's any work done that's not when those lines are out of service. Yeah, they are generally can be taken out of service, to do some of that work.
Okay.
So we have multiple engineers, so I don't know who to ask certain questions, but I'm going to ask them as we're going along. But, all right, so we have 180-foot wide right-of-way, correct? And the existing infrastructure stands where within that 180-foot wide right-of-way?
Not the center.
The existing infrastructure, where does it stand in that 180-foot right-of-way?
Yeah, so it's currently 75 feet from one edge and 105 feet from the other edge.
Oh,
And so, yeah, we're going to go back and center it within that right away,
Okay,
90
so
feet.
you're gonna put up the new system, you're gonna wire it all up, and you're gonna energize it and you're gonna disconnect the old stuff, or is the old stuff gonna stay there?
The old stuff, it will be removed. Yep.
So, how long, I mean, you're obviously gonna have to clear cut path for the entire corridor, right? And I don't know if you're the engineer that we should ask this question, but how long will it take you to complete the project from the entire project in Millstone?
Yes, yeah.
Mr. Morris, our site plan engineer, is going to talk about the construction timeline.
Well, yeah, Mr. Chairman, it's 10 to 9. I think it's probably best to allow, and I know this is going to be the same issue we have, okay? We're going to open it to the public. If we open to the public, which I'm okay with, to ask questions of these two witnesses, but I have a feeling 90% of their questions, Mr. Nadell's going to say it's the next witness. But I think it at least gives the public an opportunity to ask regarding the constructions of the poles, the planning purposes, especially since, where'd you come from, sir?
Kansas City, Missouri.
So he doesn't have to, comes in nice weather from Kansas City to here. So that they don't at least have to fly back. And the other ones are all local that they could do. Is that what you want to do?
I think that's a good option. And then if we start getting a lot more questions for our next witness, then maybe we could kind of table the public, bring your witness up, and then bring the public back.
Okay. All right, so what we're going to do now,
Kinda keep it fluid.
members of the public, we're going to open it for questions only of the two witnesses that testify. I understand that you're probably going to ask a question that neither of them are going to be able to answer. It's going to be somebody else, since as we all done numerous times. If you try to get it to what they've testified to, and if you're not, Mr. Nadell should be very quick to respond. I've jotted it. You're going to ask this person next time you give that opportunity, okay? So we could at least try to get you guys out. You've been here for an hour and a half, 2 hours. An opportunity to ask some questions as we proceed, okay? So, sure.
Yeah, I think, what time we got? It is 8:53. We'll open it up to the public for our first two witnesses. Anybody wants to come forward?
And Mr. Chairman, if I may remind the public that this is for questions only. If anybody has comments or things that they may want to add or bring forth, we will have that opportunity at a later time. This is just for questions of the witnesses.
All right, so you're going to be the guinea pig. I'll explain to the board. So when you
About the questions about.
is questions, I'm going to ask you. I'm not going to swear you in since it's just questions. So just give us your name, your address. When you do give a statement, I'll then swear you in. But this is so once you give your name and address, and then you can ask your question.
Mark Biddle, out of the way. I see the engineer has some plans in his hands. with the tire, with the towers.
Some of the plans,
They
not
should
all.
be hanging.
Oh,
And,
It's not our job, it's not our job.
That's all right. All right, I need, you say the existing towers are there now. The new towers are gonna go in what relation to the existing towers? Like if you had a chalkboard, oh, here's the tower. Where are you gonna drill the case on for the new tower?
Yeah, so it does vary by each location. A good rule of thumb that we follow is about 20 feet offset, in line with the right-of-way and 15 feet horizontally.
All right, I'm gonna show them a picture or a drawing. All right, here's the tower. This is Halka Way. You got Halka Way on your plan?
I do not.
So,
Well,
They
okay.
must have it.
if you had Halka, it's a road. Here's the tower by the road. It's 40 foot off the road. Is that a zoning issue? You know what I mean? Where would the caisson be? I gotta see it on
All
your
right,
plan.
all right, let's take a step back. I understand your question. Do our things work?
That's nothing.
That's, we're gonna think, okay. Do you have the plans to show where, on your plans, for that street pole, do you have your plan showing where that pole is gonna be proposed?
So, Mr. Morris, our site plan engineer, we might just need a minute or two to find it on the site plans, but I'm sure if it's an existing structure to be removed, we can find it on the site plans.
Well, you got the north, south, east, west. It's gotta show.
All right, well, then
That's
this
the
is,
property that I own.
hold on, I'm gonna help you out here. He designed it, goes to my question, you asked the wrong person, okay, and that's not your fault at all, okay? So you're gonna take that question, put it in your pocket, and then after when the site plan guy comes up and we open the equipment, you can ask that question, and we'll make sure he pulls it up on the plan and shows it.
Okay, I got another question. There's not gonna be any, like, additional towers. You're only replacing what's existing, not adding. You know what I mean? Tower here, tower there, you won't put one in the middle.
Yeah, in general, that is correct. There's,
That's not
Just let him answer it.
yeah. So in the areas over where the wood pole currently exists, there are 6, the 6 wood H-frames. We are replacing some of those with steel poles, and those are going to be, in a little bit different locations because those are going under 500 kV lines, and so crossings.
Will
But-
Mr. Morris be able to testify to where those are?
Yeah, all those are shown on the site plan.
Well, then let me get, hold on. So we have 37 lattice, 6 wooden, and you're adding 41 new structures, but the testimony was 48 steel poles. Okay, so there was 36 lattice, 6 wood, that's 43 total existing, correct?
There's, so 12 wood poles because they're H-frames. So that,
So there's, I don't know why you
What I
said.
was asking, like.
Oh, hold on. All right, so it's not 6, there's 12 of them.
it's, yeah, so we use the term structure because it's an H-frame, and so it's all connected. So it's got 2 poles with the cross arm.
That's,
And so-
I consider that
yeah.
one.
Okay.
So there's only 6. Okay? So that's 43 total structures. Okay?
Yep.
And then you're proposing 48 new poles, correct?
48 new poles, but again, there's some that are going back with that same H-frame configuration.
Okay, so at the end of the day, there's 43 structures, to help answer his question.
Yeah.
You're gonna propose 43 new structures.
48,
48.
There's 40.
43.
43 coming.
A structure's a
Because
structure.
he's seen some structures have 2 poles.
Some structures are 2 poles. I don't, so you're gonna have 43 new structures.
So it depends, they are shown in the exhibit on the site plan. We can, I don't know if we can pull that up.
43 are coming out, 40 going in.
Well-
Increasing by 5.
This is not what he's saying.
Is it not as straightforward as that?
It's not as straightforward because there are
Structure to structure.
times that there is an H-frame, and then there's times that we go back with like a 3 pole, and or a two pole that is not connected because that's the way that the structures are designed. So, they all look a little different. They are shown as exhibits on the site plan, so it's probably just not as straightforward.
Okay.
How tall are the existing wood H structures?
They range from 56 to 61 feet.
56 to 61 feet?
Correct.
Yeah, but it's not,
There's like two together
Those
in
are the
one.
new,
It's
but
called one.
And you're proposing to
it doesn't show
replace
where
them
the new
with
ones.
100?
All right, hold on, we can't have two conversations going.
It's on a site plan.
You're proposing to replace them with 170 plus feet?
The area where those are being replaced, those structures are not as tall. They're below that average height because
What is the height?
those in that area range from 62 is the lowest, up to 132.
How many 62 and how many 132?
One of each, and then there's
That whole bunch in between?
yeah.
4 in between?
Yep, correct.
So you're going to remove 6 and replace 6, right? In that
That's the area where it's the confusion of, there's
might be more or
multi-pole, there's multi-pole structures. So in that area, we would say 10 poles, but
On how many structures?
what we would call 5 structures.
5 structures.
My question was, I have 2 now, towers. I don't want 3. That's what, but I can't get a straight answer.
Yeah, where the lattice towers are being replaced.
All right,
it's
we're gonna
a
answer you, sir, when the next witness comes, he's just heard the question, and the first thing he's gonna say when he testifies is those 2 on whatever street that is gonna be 2 or 3 to get your answer right away, okay?
And where the caisson is going. The
And
caisson is the footing for the tower.
The drilled shaft, yeah,
Right.
yep.
But I want to know if it's on the north side of the tower. You said it's in,
the next witness is gonna answer that question.
okay,
He better.
vegetation. I got a tower that's surrounded by mountain laurel. How are we going to protect? You're from Pittsburgh, you said? That's the other guy.
The other guy.
Well, you know what a mountain laurel is, right? The plant?
I do not, but we do have a witness that will talk about vegetation.
I'd like to keep them, because you can't replace them if you know what they are, you know what I mean? And I like your style too, about the visual. The one tower that's close to Halco Way, they have them where they look like a tree. You ever see them? They make the towers that look like a tree.
That's cell phone.
That's cell towers.
I think you could do it for,
I don't think we can do that. I don't think that's very.
All right, then.
Yeah.
We'll keep the mountain laurels down too.
Hey, sir,
Contract.
if you,
Don't know it.
you may want to go online if you're concerned about those trees and stuff.
I think your engineers that have them, right?
Well,
Well, not the trees, but where the,
If you
where
stop
the
by
caisson.
tomorrow, town hall will show you the plans.
right, and there's
Thank you very
there's
much.
also on the website, a tree survey summary they submitted, which I think identifies like 2,000 different trees. That may help you
Right, I
in your
seen the
question.
guys out there. They were checking for bats and everything. They were nice people. The towers look nicer than the ones you have now. But the wires I'm concerned about. You said you're gonna put some like in a piece of conduit or something together?
No, there are 3 just
Like
on
he
the
said, a
500.
spider?
There's are spacers, and they are spaced. They're not all together, so it won't
It's
be a
not like an
conduit,
8-inch with 3 wires going through.
but It's
It's like an insulated.
so for the
Right, it's not
500
like this, it's
kV,
gonna
yeah,
be super
it ends up
big.
being like a triangle.
All right, thank you for your time.
Stop by in town hall. We'll
Thank you, Mr.
See
Mandel.
Danny Ellis will
Appreciate
show
it.
you the plans.
Okay, sir, please state your name and give us your address, sir.
Hi, Javier Rodriguez, 10 Nolan Drive. Question I have is, in the beginning, you said that a lot of stuff was submitted, environmental studies, whatever. Was there any health studies? My biggest concern is if we're tripling the voltage capacity, you're also going to triple the electromagnetic field. So my question is, by how much are we tripling the risk of that voltage by families that live in that area? So if that hasn't been submitted, will it be submitted? Will it be followed up on? Because that's my biggest concern.
We do have a witness that's going to discuss EMF, Mr. Ozempa, Mr. Brown. That's outside their wheelhouse, so we'll be prepared to discuss that when we get
What's
to
the name of that witness?
Say that again?
What's his name?
The witness?
Yes.
Pamela Dopart.
Her name, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, sir, so, again, put it in your pocket, that's what you're gonna ask.
Yeah, thank you.
Come on up,
I'm
sir.
just going to, I guess, add that is, I happen to be an electrical engineer, worked for Fort Monmouth Communication Electronics Command for 30 years. And I am worried about that 500 kV line that they're putting in there.
Mr. Bell, I apologize, just name and address.
Yeah, I think, are you getting to the point that you're gonna wanna ask questions of the expert regarding?
I don't know who's in charge of field, the electromagnetic field. Is it people that?
Yeah, so what they've said, there's gonna be another witness. I told you this was gonna happen, okay, that's gonna testify,
Today.
I don't know today, maybe the next
How
meeting.
about environmental?
Also another witness that we didn't get to yet.
Yes. So the answer is yes on both witnesses, but we're trying to get to them today, but as of right there,
Okay,
not.
so can I just make one comment on the environmental?
Well, the only thing about the environmental, you can't make any comments, this is questions only. But let's wait to hear from their environmental witness, and then you'll have an opportunity to ask that environmental
Okay, no,
any
I
questions
hear
you want, and then make a statement on it.
Okay, hopefully they do it today.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I knew this was gonna happen. Yeah, that's what it is.
It's all good.
All right, sir, please state your name for the records, please.
That's Bill Fredericks,
And your address, sir?
52 Stagecoach.
Okay.
We got 2 towers sitting out there on our property. Is it that these new towers that are going to go in are going to be about 20 feet higher on the average? Okay, I'm looking at it as aesthetics, okay? I've been living here in Millstone for 70 years, and I'd like to keep it so it's not, we're still putting up lights all over the place. You know, I used to be able to see the stars, I can't see that stuff, and so I'm really concerned about the environment.
All right, do you have a list of your towers that you're putting up, and tell him that the towers we're placing on your property, how high they're gonna be?
Yeah, we can certainly get that information.
Okay. Second of all, you're talking about 36 feet clearance from the ground to the first 500K, is that correct?
Correct.
What happens if I take a piece of machinery and I go through there, an excavator or something? That's going to cut down to about maybe 10 feet or 12 feet clearance? What's going on with this?
Yeah, so that 30.
I know they're not 36 right now.
Yeah, correct. So that 36 feet does factor in, like a vehicle going underneath the
A
lines.
vehicle.
Yeah, so,
Construction equipment, stuff like that.
yeah, that would be,
I know we gotta be careful around lines
Yeah.
with equipment, but I'm still talking about an excavator. Cut it down to about 12 feet or something.
Well, doesn't these lines also cross roads?
yes, correct.
A tractor trailer is gonna have to drive
Are they
underneath
gonna be
it, correct?
36 feet going over the roads
So-
too?
Right?
So 36 feet is the distance we maintain because that distance doesn't need to be 36. The safe, distance is less than that 36. So
Okay,
that factors
all right.
in, yeah, like a tractor trailer.
And one last thing, since we're making them higher, I'm not putting blinking lights on here.
Great question.
No, so we have run these structures through the FAA criterion
the FAA.
tool, and yeah, none of them have come
I
back
want
as
no blinking
needing
lights down the woods.
any lighting, correct?
Thank you.
Good question.
Greg, that's for the entire corridor, right?
Yes, that's correct.
James Waiter, 36 Backbone Hill Road. Just to clarify, right now, the lines run over my house or my property. I drive in, I see 6 cables. How many cables am I going to see now?
15. The bottom picture, sir.
So you will, yeah, you see 6 conductors and 2 static wire. And now there will be 15 conductors and 2 static wire proposed.
But on the one side, you'll see 6 lines.
6 on one side,
And then
9 on the other.
9 on the other, it'll be 3, 3, and 3.
Sir, that picture's on our website? If you want, okay. And name and address, ma'am?
Amy Weltner, 244 Millstone Road,
Can you spell your last name, please?
Weltner. I'm just wondering if and when this is approved, when are we expecting construction to start, and how long, like, does one tower take down, the whole process?
We're not there yet.
Well, you could,
But
counsel, you can make a
generally,
representation.
construction is slated for 2027. Correct? Yeah, there's a timeline there, but that's
And then, like, so
2027.
we have a tower on our property, how long is someone gonna be on my property? Taking down and putting up and,
Yeah, it's probably a Jeff
6 months
Morris
or what?
question, but do we have like a general idea? How long a tower takes in one area?
Well, it's different phases, because we gotta take down the one tower. Then we gotta drill the case on, pour it, and then put the tower up. Yes, well, it's not all every day for a couple of months, but it's a couple of months.
Couple of months back. Sir, address and name, sir.
Dan Murphy, 38 Carriage Way. This is not an all or nothing project, meaning that if Millstone denies that you guys can't complete the project, you can still complete the project?
Well, I could tell you the practical end of it, that the way public utilities work, they're gonna have,
Can we let them answer?
well, I'm gonna tell you the legal end, then they can answer it. But what generally happens is if in a big project like this, that if we deny them, they usually appeal that to the Board of Public Utilities, because that's part of the project, but they can answer the question as to whether they can proceed or won't proceed of a project like this dealing with multiple counties and towns. But I'm just telling you what it's most likely gonna happen.
I prefer they answer.
Okay.
Yeah, so what we're trying to do. So what we're trying to do is connect 2 endpoints. The substation in Freehold and substation in East Windsor. So we need to build a line between those 2 endpoints. So if we leave part of that line out in the middle, then it does no good at all. So it has to be the whole project from end to end.
Are there other towns that denied the project already?
Yes. Middletown.
No, that is not true. This project has received approvals in every municipality that we've appeared in so far. The
By
new,
township approval, or you went around to the public utilities?
no, we're going town by town to 14 municipalities.
You explain this as a highway and you're putting in another road in. Is there another way around to complete the endpoint from end to end? Do you have to go through Millstone?
That's a Mr. Hosepa question.
Well, again, we're trying to connect 2 endpoints, right? So the project that we were awarded was because we're using existing transmission line corridors. So unless we go and build on a new transmission line corridor, we couldn't connect end to end. So this is the straight line connection on existing right-of-way that we already have. So that's what we've been approved to do by PJM and the BPU in our project award. And so now we're just trying to get the permit to complete the project that they've already reviewed.
Okay, so there's no other avenues to get end to end except going through Millstone?
Well, again, there's always infinite possibilities to get from point A to point B. But again, we're trying to do that with what we've already discussed with PJM and the Board of Public Utilities when we talked about this project initially. So again, we're using existing transmission right-of-way, we're not buying new right-of-way, we're using right-of-way that we already have.
So there's no other existing right-of-way that you have that you can't go around Millstone?
Correct.
The original project was for the clean energy. We already know that that's on hold. If that never comes through, and that is completely stopped, would there be a different infrastructure rehab? The towers are old, and you say you want to upgrade the towers. What would you do differently if this wasn't for the wind turbines? Could you just replace the tower and keep the 6 lines versus 15 lines?
Well, again, one of the reasons why we're putting the 500 kV line in this corridor is we're connecting the 500 kV at East Windsor to the 500 kV at Smithburg and completing a loop that doesn't exist today. We're closing up basically a link in the circuit to create a more reliable system. So if we, outside of the offshore wind, if we had to rebuild this corridor, we would rebuild it as we have proposed here tonight.
So the 500 kV that you're putting in is a necessary upgrade for electrical service in this area?
To improve the reliability, yes.
What does that mean, to improve the reliability?
Well, because of the way the system is configured today, we have, like I explained earlier, Smithburg substation is radially served from on the 500 kV line right now. This would provide an additional 500 kV source into Smithburg substation, which supports the 230 kV network in this area.
So it's an extra line, is what you're putting in?
Redundancy and reliability, yes.
So it's not the main line that you're using, it's a secondary line in case something goes down. So it's not mandatory. We have one line in now.
Correct.
And you just want to put a second line in.
For reliability, yes.
And if there was no turbines, would you need that redundancy so bad?
Yes.
Okay. On the footings, how deep are they going on a 170-foot tower, as we have a lot of wells in here?
Yeah, so the new concrete foundations, the average depth is 32 feet. There's a range there. From the low 20s to, let's make sure, I believe 47 feet is the deepest that we have.
And was there a study on the effects of the well in the town, the water aquifer?
Yeah, I think we need it as an Amy Jones question. Yeah, that witness has not testified yet.
Okay. Noise, when you ever walk underneath these wires, you could hear the hum, and you're going from 6 to now 15 wires.
Our EMF witness, who hasn't testified yet, will also talk about noise.
Okay. Increase in electric rates due to this project. Electric rates have gone through the roof. What is that going to be? Who's funding this? Is this a grant? Or is this going to increase our electric rates that are now out of control?
I think that's a BPU question.
Yeah.
Who is it?
BPU, I think that's, we gotta bring that question.
Well, they're here to ask for a variance to put in all these towers. There has to be a cost component to it.
Right, but I don't think the two witnesses that have testified
Okay,
had
I'll hold.
anything regarding
Unless you got
rates.
it.
I think, if you can answer, if you know it, but I doubt it's above your, I presume it's above your pay grade.
Well, I can talk in general about that. So, we're always making investments in our system, and that is, this project is being funded through the transmission budget of JCP&L. So, we have a budget that we spend on transmission projects, and this will be part of that spend that we would do at JCP&L. That all becomes part of our transmission rate recovery that's recovered through the PJM ratepayers.
Us.
Yeah.
Us.
Yeah.
So this is going to be,
So we're gonna
we're going to fund this project.
As with every
Okay.
project that takes place with the utility, those dollars have to be recovered. So yes, there's a rate that goes into effect based on the money that we spend on projects, as with public service and Atlantic City Electric and so on, yes.
And this project was originally created for the Clean Energy Act that was done by an executive order, not by a vote of the actual residents of the state. So this has never really been voted on a project for the wind turbines that is halted.
Again, that was the primary reason we identified this project. but the project is still needed without the offshore wind.
But we can certainly do other upgrades to the towers at a less cost that will give us redundancy instead of doing this big massive project. There are other options to make sure that the towers don't degrade. You can replace the towers with similar size and, right?
Well, again, what we're doing is we're taking out the aged infrastructure that's in the corridor today and replacing it with new, as Mr. Brown testified, more resilient infrastructure that can withstand, more extreme weather conditions. So, and I already spoke to the need for the 500 kV line, so even without the offshore wind, we would do this project the same way.
You would do the, okay. The, putting in now footings, what is there now besides concrete footings?
There's the concrete footings, and then there's grillage, which is like steel underneath the ground.
Okay. And the maintenance to maintain these new footings, the concrete can chip and crack and degrade just as quick as anything, and the poles compared to what we have now? Did it come with a maintenance cost on these new poles and footings? Because you're maintaining them now, right? You said at the beginning that they were going out there and doing maintenance on these old towers. Is there a maintenance estimate on it now? The new stuff?
Well, as with anything, when something's new, it doesn't need a lot of maintenance, right? So if we put these towers in or these steel poles in, right, they're not going to need a lot of maintenance for a period of time. Eventually, like everything else, they will require maintenance in the future.
I think I addressed the questions for these, I have others for the next one.
And you'll have full opportunity for the other ones.
Thank you.
Will somebody at some point also, just to the gentleman's question, maybe think be able to address the lifespan of the proposed towers and equipment? You've talked about the ones that are there now, are there 59, 60 plus years? What would we expect moving forward with the new equipment? Longer, I think you said, correct?
Yeah, we generally design these to be about 70, 75 years lifespan.
And that's the poles, or just the poles, or the poles and the wires? Maybe.
Yeah, the whole system.
Okay.
And obviously there is maintenance cycles.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not assuming that no maintenance will happen for
Yeah.
70 years, but, yeah.
Just your name and your address, ma'am, spell your last name.
Nicole Newman, 6 Hope Drive. I had the same question as somebody before about like the specific towers that are behind my house. Is that in part of the site?
That's
available
going to
on
be the next guy.
Is it available on the website as well?
All the plans are on the website. If you go
I was
to,
trying to find it.
I would go to A11. It's the preliminary and final major site plan of variance consisting of 43 sheets. So it's
Okay.
going to be in there.
How did you get to
A11.
A11?
And how do you get
What's
to
that?
the,
How did you
yeah,
get to
I was
A11?
trying to navigate the
I
website.
gotcha. Okay, so if you go to boards, committees, and commissions.
Yes.
Click on zoning board of adjustment. Then
Okay.
on the side, there's a section that says agendas, minutes, exhibits.
Mhm.
Click on that, and then under the meeting, it says documents. You're gonna click the documents, and it has everything there.
Amazing.
Everything that we have is there.
Thank you. Sorry, one last quick one. So you said right now from the lightning thing at the top to where the first layer of wires is about 20
26 feet.
is that the same as the current tower?
Current is 20 feet.
Okay, so it's just a bit. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one question. That setup. is
You
that
have,
any-
come to the mic, please.
It's for the recording more than anything
Yeah.
else.
That setup, is that anywhere in New Jersey like that, with those 15 wires that, like, say, hey, we go look at it per se and see how ugly it's gonna look?
Name and address.
Sir, could you repeat your name first?
James Waiter.
Okay. Is there any, and I think it's a great question in the sense of if members of the public or the board want to go see existing towers like that you're proposing here with the same or similar number of wires, where would we drive to?
Yeah, that's not a question that I can answer right off the top of my head.
But that's a different corridor. Yeah, they're probably all connected at some point, it's realistic.
There's yeah, there's a 500.
Or down on, like, it's 6 on the turnpike. They're Hamilton.
Yeah.
So no, I don't know. I'm not in the area.
You'll see it eventually.
So there's not a exact replica in the area or in New Jersey that we could show.
And one more question. The areas that you put this in, has the property value decreased for people that live underneath that?
Probably another witness, these two, above their pay grade. Hold on, this lady's been, you can come up. Your name and your address, ma'am?
Shannon Musso, 5 Mount Drive. I am a brand-new resident to this town. I moved to this town because I heard it was beautiful. I heard the school system was amazing. I am horrified at what you are doing, that my 9-year-old child overheard me talking and said, "Mommy, I don't want to get cancer because they're putting big towers by my house." I don't know how you lay your head on the pillow at night and go to sleep.
Okay,
I
ma'am.
really don't. So I want to know, where else in Monmouth County do you plan on doing this? Do you plan on destroying all of Monmouth County? Or are we the guinea pigs? Where else is this in New Jersey that we can see? I am horrified. Where else is this? Or are we guinea pigs?
So I'll answer that. You're not guinea pigs. The project goes through 14 municipalities and 4 counties in New Jersey.
What towns? What townships, please?
In Monmouth County, Colts Neck, Wall, Freehold, Howell, Roosevelt, East Windsor's Mercer County, so
Upper Freehold.
just Freehold Township.
But none of them are built yet, so there's nothing built.
Were they approved? Exactly.
Yes, in my introduction, I explained that the project has been approved in Freehold, Jackson, Howell, Lakewood, and East Windsor. We're making our way through the corridor.
The Middletown supposedly rejected this.
No,
and-
so that is not true. That is a completely different project called the Central New Jersey Reliability Project. This is the New Jersey Clean Energy Corridor Project. So Middletown is not a municipality that is part of the CEC project that we're discussing this evening.
What is the similarity between Middletown and the Millstone project? Is there a similarity?
I wouldn't be able to answer that
I
question.
know they have 2 different names, right? But it might be,
Did any of the 2 witnesses testify, deal with the Middletown site?
Mr. Hozempa may have been involved in that project. Were you involved?
It's RAGE 2016.
Mr. Hozempa, if you're familiar with it, we just want to know generally size of the towers in Middletown that were proposed regarding the other project and amount of wires. Is it a 500? Is it less? If you know.
Well, that project was actually called the Monmouth County Reliability Project, the MCRP. and
I'm
that
sorry,
was-
I had the name wrong. I apologize.
Yeah, that was to build a 230 kV line from Freenu down to Red Bank along the New Jersey Transit Railroad corridor, and that was denied by the BPU. But it was a 230 kV single circuit line.
And I believe that project also was going through Hazlet and the like, and if I'm correct, ma'am, I believe that project, and this is from my memory of being the attorney in Hazlet and Middletown as well, is that they were all new poles down those corridors.
Correct. That was a,
So
it was a
that's
new right
even though
of way,
these are
yes.
new poles, these were railroads that they were putting, there were no blinds there. And they were putting poles up. So I think that's kind of, and obviously the mount's different, But that's what was going on through Middletown, Hazlet, Keithburg. That area was all new poles. Now my memory's kind of kicking in, of seeing the signs. That's what that project was.
So did that application get presented at Middletown?
No.
No, that whole project was just taken to the BPU initially. And so we had local meetings with the local municipalities to talk about the project, but we didn't go through a zoning hearing at each of the municipalities. We went to the Board of Public Utilities initially.
So your discussions with the municipalities, was it at a planning level? You know, maybe.
No, it was more like an open house type of forum where we just talked about the project and brought the public in.
Public was invited.
Right.
And there's a lot of discussion has nothing to do with this application. Let's be realistic. There was a lot of conversation about why aren't you putting it on the ground? That was kind of the movement from the municipalities, but has nothing, for the record, clearly has nothing to do with it. It was just for clarification, that's what that project was.
Just two more questions. Was Colts Neck approved, Township?
I believe we met with Colts Neck and we're still going with Colts Neck. Yeah. That's still on our list.
But aren't all the corridors connecting? Like you're saying.
Oh, man, if you're going to ask a question, you have to come up.
You were saying they have to connect like a puzzle piece, so aren't they all connecting to each other as you're explaining?
When you say connecting, what are you referring to?
I think Mr. Giuseppe knows what he's talking about, the answer.
So what we're doing is building a transmission line between two substations. This substation is in Freehold Smithburg substation. The East Windsor substation, East Windsor, so we're connecting those two substations. Right now, there's a line that does that. We're adding to that. So.
But does the line that you're doing go through Colts Neck?
No.
Not this project.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
No. I'm a former resident there, so that's why I would know.
Okay.
And you're saying this basically will be approved?
No one said
No, we
that.
haven't voted on it. We haven't voted on it.
No one said that at all. That's why there's a public hearing. They presented all their evidence. The public has opportunity to question, present any statements or evidence. The board asks questions. We have our own professionals, our engineer and planner discuss the legal ramifications, and then the board votes. That's the whole purpose of these hearings.
And as far as the turbines in LBI, you got a lot of pushback. I have family members who are residents in LBI. A lot of pushback there, what you're trying to do to Long Beach Island.
We're trying to just
As
leave
well.
it to the questions.
Okay.
You can make that statement at the end. We'll give you plenty of opportunity, man.
Can I get a follow-up to what I heard?
If it's another question or a comment?
Questions.
The question, sure, come on up.
This project is unique to New Jersey. This is not being done in any other state.
What's unique about this is the tower design is different. So this tower design does not appear, to my knowledge, anywhere else in New Jersey. Now, I did not do an exhaustive search to.
So this is a brand new
So the
design,
design,
first trial.
the design is different than what we've used elsewhere.
So the design,
But the project itself is not. We have other 500 kV lines with other transmission lines on them, just on a different design. It takes up, for example, in Virginia, we have 500 kV built over 138 kV that's on this huge H-frame structure. So that's, you know, two poles in the ground with a bar across them. So other structures like this type of construction exists, just not this particular design.
what is unique about this design? Is it the poles? Is it the 15 wires? Is it the spider around the 3 wires? What is unique about this?
I think he can answer that one. You designed it.
What? Go ahead. Anything he does, I can tell you.
Yeah. The difference between this design and what we've done previously is these are all on single poles and built vertical rather than horizontal. That's the difference.
On the horizontal, you're talking more poles, right? What about the height? Is the height still the same, or is it because you're doing monopoles, you need more height? But if you did H, theoretically, you wouldn't need the height, or you would need more width. Like, that's the, I guess, you're going to this. What's the benefits of this compared to your standard H, okay, regarding the big issues? Height, okay, number of poles, I guess, what's the benefit of the new design for those issues regarding height and number of poles?
Yeah, so because we are utilizing our existing right-of-way of 180 feet, we can do this, the two circuits vertically, and it is like fits with clearance, safety clearances. If we went to H-frames, everything would have to be bumped out horizontally, and a much wider right-of-way would be needed, a significantly wider right-of-way.
And how high would those poles? So you need a larger 180 width, correct?
Correct.
And height-wise?
Height-wise, with the H-frames, those can be dropped down to be, you still maintain that 36 feet. They would probably be about the same, maybe a little shorter than existing poles, just because everything's on the same level. But however, that right-of-way width would have to increase significantly.
That would also increase the number or quantity of poles along the line as well.
That depends on how high they are. So again, we could bump the height up, keep the quantity the same, or put more in. And keep,
What if the pole design was shaped like a T instead of a monopole? And you were able to spread your transmission lines across a horizontal width? Similar to what you're doing with an H structure, except instead of just a single monopole, it becomes a pole, or it is a pole that is shaped like a T.
It kind of is.
Or they are shaped like a T?
You kind of have like an outrigger on the right and left.
You got it.
But
You're doing a 50% increase in height. And now 119, you're going to 178.
174 average.
So it's almost a 50% increase. Where in the state or in your system do you have poles that high? Is this the first time you're going that height?
Okay.
No, definitely not. We have poles that are very high, similar heights and elsewhere in our footprint as well. It depends on where we're constructing, the voltage we're constructing at, and the terrain. So, depending on span length and all these other things, as Mr. Brown talked about, that changes how we do certain designs. So, this is not uncommon. We have towers that are tall enough that we actually require FAA lighting. So, this is not unusual.
This is the Clean Energy Act or bill that you're working off of?
We call our project the Clean Energy Corridor, but that's just a brand name that we selected.
What's clean about this project?
Yeah.
What's clean about this project is the initial driver for the project was the offshore wind. So that's where we actually got the name from.
Which isn't being done now.
It's delayed.
It's
Yes.
delayed, and it's really not that clean. But what's clean about more wires, more radiation, more noise? What's clean about it?
Well, we know that the electricity demand is increasing because they're trying to get rid of fossil fuels. So by getting rid of fossil fuels, that makes this clean. Because we're getting rid of gas vehicles, we're getting rid of gas heating in buildings, and oil heating in buildings, and replacing it with electric heating.
Fossil fuels are coming back, but that's a different conversation.
Yes, that's beyond me.
There's really nothing clean about this project, because the wires are generating more radiation, more noise, more environmental impacts than what's there. So as far as that's concerned, there's nothing clean about that, the actual infrastructure.
No. That's more of a, we could get to that. Thank you.
No answer, he has no answer for us.
Hi, my name is Bruce Wolf, 40-year resident in Millstone Township.
First, can you please spell your last name?
Wolf, W-O-L-F.
Your dresser?
125 Backbone Hill Road. And I've seen these lines appear maybe around turnpikes, parkways. Why in the world would you want to put this? I understand it's probably cheaper for you to cut right through an existing right-of-way. But if you happen to be the lucky person that lives behind or below these wires with the high power and high voltage going through, I would like to ask a question. Did you do your homework and go through other avenues? Did you go through the turnpike? That's where you would see these transmission lines, or the parkway. You don't put this in somebody's backyard. That's a cheap way out, in my opinion. So did you exhaust every avenue, or did you just look at it as the cheaper way for you guys to run your lines? That's my question, just to start.
Well, it was my team that actually came up with the plan of how to build the infrastructure necessary to import offshore wind and maintain the reliability that we're required to maintain. One of the things we try to exercise when we're looking at projects is to utilize existing right-of-way to its maximum capability. Because it's so difficult to get new right-of-way, as we talked about earlier with the MCRP project, people don't like greenfield projects. So where we have existing transmission corridors, we try to leverage them because most people tell us, why don't you put it where you already have a transmission line? So that's what we're doing.
Well, I just find it hard to believe that you're gonna make this gigantic, way above our tree lines. Everybody's gonna look at it. And then you'll do what I see already, where you're putting microwaves on top of some of your power lines. Is this another way of profits being,
All right, that's,
We have to have a question.
I mean, you asked a question about, are you able to put microwaves on there or other, structures on top, since you have the height, because it's always a problem, and I see it being done on some of your transmission lines. Is that the next thing we could expect?
And that question was asked and answered earlier, and I believe the answer was we're not putting any cell phone equipment on these towers.
actually, the answer was another witness was going to answer that question.
Okay.
That's a preview of what's to come.
So I guess there's no way that you could look to minimize the height of these trees. Because again, everywhere you look, this is not a turnpike where you have major transmission lines. This is a residential area. And I understand you have a right of way, but you really need to do it right. You need to do the right thing. You talked about power, electricity going through the roof. I don't know. You talked about a 20% increase we had. And then you say that we need to put more power. Who's going to put electric power in their house? Really, you're going to get rid of fossilized fuels. So I think you guys need to really look to try to satisfy some of the people here in this town and minimize the heights. I understand you might have to go wider on your easements, but you need to bring, if that's the only way of doing it, but you need to bring the heights down. And you have definitely a factor with this 500 kV.
A follow-up on that, thank you, sir, is that the height is driven by the three lines and the anti-lightning line, right? Could you just explain why the proposal is for 3 500 lines rather than 200 lines or 100 lines? What's the purpose of 3 as compared to 2 as compared to 1? Because that drives the height.
Yeah, so it's one 500 kV circuit, and each circuit consists of 3 phases. So when we say, there's 3 wires, 3 wires, 3 wires, that's 3 different phases, and that has to exist for that circuit to be.
So it's not 3 lines, it's one unit
one
that's
circuit.
consisting of 9 lines.
Correct, 9 wires, correct.
So one 500 kV line consists of the 3 phases, which is 9 wires.
Correct.
How come 15 wires? How come 15 conductors?
The 6 are existing.
And my last question would be, for us to be used and raise these transmission lines to that height and deal with all to our detriment, in my opinion, and there's nothing that comes back to our township. When's the last time the power lines came down? I'm almost 70 years old. I can't remember the last time I saw a structure come down. I can't remember hearing about it from winds at all. So you talk about it's at the end of their life. When's the last time anybody remembers a line being broken and separating and coming down? I don't remember that, so maybe you could answer that question.
I don't know the history of the outages on that particular segment. I mean, I certainly could find that, but I do not have that information tonight. But again, we have to meet federal standards. Federal standards require us to design the system such that the loss of any single transmission element is transparent to the system. So in other words, if a line does come down, Nobody is supposed to know about that. It should not have any impact on the way the system operates. That's the standard we have to maintain on the transmission system, and it's becoming even more stringent. So, you know, imagine driving your car down the highway and you lose a wheel and you can still keep driving. That's how we have to design the transmission system. So you wouldn't know if a line came down. We would, because we'd get alarms about it. But we have to design the system so if a line does come down, nobody knows about it. The system does not change. So that's why you wouldn't know, because nobody's supposed to know.
Well, I would hope, and the biggest loss of power we have is like one of these gentlemen here on the committee talked about, is the telephone poles. That's something that I would hope, as a JCP&L customer for many years, you guys really look into doing that. You talk about transmission lines. I have never had a problem with the transmission line, and I'm here 43 years. So there's nothing else you guys can do to help improve. You want to say you want to help our community, but you do nothing about it. You seem like it's more for this offshore power and not for the locals here. We're going to have, to our detriment, have these poles put up. And there's no side benefit. There's nothing with fixing the wires, fixing the poles, or doing whatever you need to do to give us better service. Most people here, the service on these poles and these wires that are Jersey Central Power Line, most of us have to go out and get generators because it's unreliable, especially here at the end of the run. So you really, if you want us to say and welcome this, you need to help us out in other ways as well. So I would hope that you guys could really look at doing something different than having a 175 or 192 feet dinosaur on people's backyards. I find it to be other ways and other ways of doing it a lot better than creating eyesores and property values going down as a result of it.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf.
Multiple questions, sorry.
That's okay.
Good evening, Chris Weltner, 244 Millstone Road. You briefly touched on the right-of-way. Is that going to expand or shift? Because now you have a tower located here, and if you put it on either side of that, the right-of-way is going to have to shift on the side of that tower, I would imagine. Is that correct?
The existing easement that JCP&L has is 180 feet, and that will remain 180 feet.
Even if the tower is offset? Because I know when they come every 5 years, usually they come through and do a cut. And when they did all the surveying for all this, I met with the techs and everything, because my house is right directly adjacent to one of the towers. So after they were gone, another crew must have come through, and I seen to the south side of the line, there was all new trees, had all ribbons, which to me indicates that's all going to get clear cut down now as well, which would be outside of the existing right-of-way. So I'd like to have some type of confirmation of how that line is, how that right-of-way is going to remain, or are they actually going to shift? Because now, especially you're going up higher, are you going to have to take more trees out? That might impact that because it's higher, the towers.
Sir, it's the latter. What they're proposing is they have an existing 180 feet.
Right.
Okay, if you look through the plans, strongly suggest that anyone that lives near there, go on the website, look at the plans, find your house, okay? They have an 180-foot easement. Right now, for argument's sake, they have 80 feet of clear space. Still means they have 100 feet outside, whether it's 60-40, 50-50, 70-30.
Right.
What they're simply going to do is they are going to clear cut and make the opening wider. They won't, they're not extending their easement. Easement's still here. They're going to remove the trees to make the opening wider. It's a very simplistic answer what they're doing. And that's why you got to look at the plans to see how far they're going to be clear cut or proposed to be clear cut near your house, which are on the plans.
Yeah, because like I said, these existing trees have now had markers on them.
You're right. That's why you should really look at those plans.
But that's outside the existing easement.
Nope, the easement's still there. The trees are in the easement. The
trees grow within the easement, they have the right to clear that. Right.
They did show some trees outside the easement, but they're not taking those down.
Right.
They're taking
They're
down
not, they're
pretty
not
much
allowed to,
everything in their own easement.
they're not,
Which is taken down now, they did that years ago.
They've done some, but they're doing more.
they're proposing more.
Proposed.
Thank you. Any other questions at the moment? Thank you.
William Thomas, 9 Nolan Drive. Has there been any consideration given to going underground? Is that a possibility with this type of transmission, or is there too much power? I mean, to echo what the young lady said here, I moved to Millstone 15 years ago to get away from Edison, New Jersey. It is towers, congestion, building, etc. So I moved down here, and now I see we're getting power towers in our backyard. You know, again, was there any consideration given to going underground for the aesthetics, for reliability? Is that the other way?
That's a good question.
Good question.
Going underground was not part of our consideration for a number of reasons. Not that engineering-wise, we could not do that, but it's very expensive to do that. And we do have an existing right-of-way with overhead lines in it already, so we're just going to utilize the existing transmission corridor for this project with overhead lines.
Can I ask you a question? And you don't have to give a specific answer, okay? If you are let's just, for practical, let's say you don't have to replace the 60-year-old structures. Let's just assume that's the case. And you would keep all the existing structures and not have to do any of those improvements, never have to drill another hole, and you would only have to go underground for the 500. That was not considered? Because keeping existing, and then if you're really just adding the 15 lines, what about going underground for those lines and keeping the existing structures, which will save you on all the construction, all the removal of trees, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Was that even considered? If it wasn't considered, that's okay. I'm just bringing that as,
Well,
and maybe you can't put 5. When I am doing a light bulb, I get electric shock, so I'm not an electrical engineer. So I just, is that not practical, or is it practical?
well, inherently, there's issues. The higher voltage you go to put those lines underground. So the higher the voltage, the more problems you have with undergrounding that particular voltage. And also, people think of underground when it's all said and done, and they don't see what actually happens before that. And so the amount of excavation and upgrade, the right-of-way we'd have to clear to put a 500 kV line underground, all the equipment we'd have to have on there, we'd have to, like a 20-foot wide trench from East Windsor to Smithburg that's like 30 feet deep or something. It's a huge undertaking to put those lines underground. And so from an environmental perspective, it's very devastating to put a line underground like that. And so, but then you think about it when it's all said and done, yeah, now everything's good, but then now something happens to that line and you have to go in there and dig all that back up and make repairs on that and everything. So it's not easy to maintain in the future. It's very challenging to put in initially, and then there's inherent, technical challenges with underground high voltage lines.
Thank you. It's not really a question, so. Also, there's a lot of wind down here. Everybody lives in this county, this township. Are these lines more susceptible to whistling from the wind? I mean, that sounds like a crazy thing, but if you're living next to them, you're not talking about humming, but wind noise, are they going to be, are they designed so they don't make noise? Not really something to consider? Okay.
No, not something we really consider. New Jersey does have a noise limit that we must maintain, and so we've done noise studies on the line. That's 50 decibels, and so we are meeting those standards for the new.
Yeah, I think there's a witness who's going to talk about the noise too as well.
Okay, last question, animal friendly? We have a lot of birds, migratory birds. Your landowner, they get zapped. Do they have, right now they don't seem to have any problems on the current towers, but
You know, is there enough insulation or?
Typically, the birds won't land on these lines because the gradient, I mean, birds can land on just about any electric line because they don't have 2 points of potential, right? So, but they have to overcome the voltage that they're at while they're flying in the air when they land on the particular transmission line or sub-transmission line or whatever. They won't land on these lines because the voltage gradient is too strong around these lines, but they will land on the static wires. So that won't change. I mean, they don't land on the 230 kV lines that are there today. They'll land on the static wires, but they won't land on the actual transmission
They
lines.
do land on the towers, and I've seen
Oh,
them
yeah,
up on
yeah.
the top. You know, you've got large vultures and things of that nature flying around, so.
Yes, they'll still land on the towers,
Okay.
or actually, the arms. They'll land on the arms.
But no-
And they'll land on the static wire, but they won't land on the actual conductors.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Witching hour. Anyone else from the public want to come forward at the moment? Okay.
Mr. Nadell, before we figure out where we're going next, do you have any question, and before we let your two witnesses go back to Kansas City and Pittsburgh, okay? Do you have any other questions for them for the record before we talk about the next hearing date? Or you'll have to fly them in or drive them in?
Not at this time.
Okay. All right. So it's 10 o'clock at night. We've
I
been
don't
here.
think we want to start another witness.
No.
I think we'll table that to the next time.
All right, so Danielle,
My opinion, anyway.
I believe from seeing emails from you, our February 25th meeting is kind of packed with existing applications.
We have 2 continued applications.
So what do we have in March?
Sounds like JCP&L.
Okay. And that'd be March 25th, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Before I do my typical language, does the board have any further questions of these two witnesses that we're going to allow them not to come back in March? Okay.
I don't, but I have a question for you.
Sure.
What about board members that are not here and they are going to review the video to,
What we're going to do is we'll get the ones review. If they have to, we'll figure it out.
okay. Fair enough.
Okay? Hopefully, all the questions for the board and all the questions from the public, answer those questions. If not, we'll deal with it.
Okay.
Okay? Professionals? Just for these two witnesses.
No questions, but I'll note that Mr. Ozempa has answered like 90% of the public's questions. You may want to consider bringing him back just in case there's additional questions. I have a feeling there will be, that he will probably be the only one who could answer. Your call, but that's just reading the room. You might need him.
We appreciate that, and I think when we digest after this evening, we'll likely be bringing Mr. Ozempa back.
Okay. At least the weather will be nicer.
Hope so.
Maybe. Okay, all right, for members of the public, this application is going to be carried to March 25th, 2026 at 7:30 PM in these chambers. I presume either you guys are own properties, but you all received probably certified mail for this application. You will not receive it again. This is your notice that the application is going to be discussed next at the March 25th meeting. It will not be discussed at the February meeting, so you're not going to miss out. Okay, so this is your notice that'll be carried to March 25th, 2026 at 7:30 PM in these chambers. We are going to proceed with continued witnesses. Most likely, we'll let them finish their application and then open it to the public for questions and comments at that time. It's sometimes easier to just have, when you come up, ask your questions and give your statement, so you get it all out, okay? Other than that, Mr. Chairman, I think we're good for tonight on this.
It's almost 10 o'clock. I think we're good for this evening.
Okay.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second? Thank you. Approval to adjourn. Aye. All in favor? Aye.
Very sorry, I feel like